I'm Erica Lukes, host of UFO Classified. For me, life isn't simply black and white. Life is full of many unknowns. It is my goal to travel the world and to work with the world's leading experts in the hopes of making groundbreaking discoveries. Join me on UFO Classified Friday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on KCOR.
Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Good afternoon, good evening, my friends. I'm Erica Lukes. I was happy to be here on a beautiful Friday evening here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I want to just express my sincere thanks to all of my faithful friends that get into chat, that support the show. This is a listener-supported show, and it is a show that I intend to keep paying for myself and involving listeners because I feel it is so important that we get information out there that isn't manipulated by advertisers and all sorts of things. I want to give a big thanks to Northern UFOs, who is the biggest show supporter. And if it wasn't for Northern UFOs, this show would not be on the air. In my opinion, this show is the most important show on the topic because it is the only place next to Greg Bishop's show, Radio Mysteriosa, where you are actually going to have somebody who researches this topic diligently, who cares passionately, and is not manipulated by the idiots that are in charge of the UFO kingdom. I'm not beholden to them. I believe very, very deeply in this topic, and it is vital, especially right now, to get good information out. Tonight is going to be a show that will be this will be one for the memory books. I'm absolutely blown away about the show. I have spent a great deal of time this week talking to my guest. He has never done an interview before, and this is going to set the world on fire. I have no doubt about that. But before I bring on my guest this evening, there are lots of new listeners here tonight, lots of people up in the Uintah Basin. I want to thank all of them for tuning in, and I really want to thank Ryan Skinner, who arranged this interview. Ryan has known the guest for a decade, and Ryan felt that he needed to put Chris in contact with me, and I will forever be grateful on many levels. Chris is the real deal. I also want to tell you that I have my entire life had incredible experiences. And in 2013, over the Salt Lake Valley, I had a series of UFO sightings. And those sightings rocked my world. And knowing that I lived 80 miles away from Dugway Proving Ground, I wanted to know what these things were that were flying in the corridor for the international airport, 80 miles away from one of the most frightening places on the planet. And I began researching, and at that point in time, I found MUFON. I became the state director for MUFON and worked directly under Jan Harzan, helping him, and was the associate producer for the MUFON communications team. I was honored twice at the MUFON Symposium, was invited on stage by Jan Harzan in appreciation of my work. I believed very deeply in the greater goal, which I thought was educating humanity. I still believe that, but I now know that unfortunately the world's largest UFO organization doesn't have that same idea. And I also know that the people who have dominated ufology are either corrupt, they are either delusional, they're like mob bosses, and they have no desire to get truth and out to the public, and they really are doing a huge disservice. And my guest tonight is going to talk about some of this and the dangers that all of this has for everyone. I have been working tirelessly for over half a decade to obtain all of the UFO research with regard to Utah. And I really believe that we need to study this. This is an important area. I have met with Junior Hicks. I have gone to the University of Utah Special Archives for days and days to go over Frank Salisbury's work. He worked with Junior Hicks. If you don't know him, he wrote probably the best book on the Uintah Basin, which is called The Utah UFO Display. I would recommend you get that. And I have been, like I said, been trying to find this information to get it to a place. I now have an archive, one of the best in the Western United States. It's open to the public. But unfortunately, in my journey to preserve history for all of us and to change the narrative and to move forward with all of this, there have been landmines and people who have stepped in to try to take Utah history away from all of us. One of those people is the executive director of MUFON, Jan Harzan, the former director of investigations, Chase Klutsky, and the entity known as Isaac Coy, who is, in my opinion, really something that we need to be watching out for. If you have to hide behind a high school meme, then I don't know what to tell you, but I really feel now more than ever we need to be conscious of where we're putting our information. I could go on and on and on about this, but I just want all of you that are new listeners to really heed my warning. There are good people out here, and you're not going to find them on social media or in large organizations. So on that note, my guest this evening is a truly remarkable man, and I would know because I have spent lots of time on the phone with him this week, and I've heard his story. Not only has he had an incredible life, he's done things that most of us only dream of, but he has also been on Skinwalker Ranch and experienced things that are beautiful and profound and complex. Chris Marx was born in Germany and moved to the United States at the age of 21. He became a professional musician playing with members of suicidal tendencies and malice. He began to gravitate away from that rock star lifestyle in LA and then became the deputy sheriff in New Mexico, which he was for 10 years. He was also a member of a small Israeli protection team in LA, and a permanent member to a family of a former president of Warner Brothers and the executive director of Yahoo. So he provided security. In Nevada, when he moved to Nevada, he joined the United States Army National Guard. He served 3 tours of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, during which time he was a team member of high-risk target transportation, military intelligence, and military police investigations. He ran the MPI office for southern Afghanistan. And back in 2010, he became a member of BASS. And then when BASS went away, he became a member of Bigelow Aerospace. And in February of 2019, he resigned and decided to really start pursuing his musical career again and writing. And I have to say that, Chris, first of all, thank you for coming on the show, because you've never done this before. And I'm blown away. I'm blown away at how much you shared with me and your passion for this. And I really know that you want to get the truth out.
Hi, Erica. Wow, I'm blown away. I'm really excited to be on your show. As you mentioned, this is a first for me. And, we just announced this 48 hours ago that we're going to do this. And it has been a whirlwind. It has been insane. It has been crazy. I mean, the amount of just threat, smear campaigns, and just towards me, my family, and so forth. I didn't expect that. I should have probably, but I didn't know just how crazy this field really is. And on that note, I want to say right from the get-go, this is not going to be a show about Robert Bigelow. I hold him in my highest regards. I think he is a visionary. I think he is a man that has changed the field. I am loyal to him and his family. And despite me departing from Aerospace, him and Dr. Kelleher have done just wonders for this whole community. It's amazing. And so, yeah, I'm not going to go into any of that at all. Like I said, I highly respect the Bigelow family, and I'm very loyal to them. And I think Dr. Kelleher is one of the most brilliant men in the world as a scientist and as a person. So getting this out of the way, it was kind of funny how I got. This is so crazy because, like, a few weeks ago, I was just playing guitar, doing my thing, and I wasn't at all thinking about the ranch. I wasn't involved in the ranch. I haven't been there since 2016. It's a place dear to my heart, but I really kind of moved on. And so I was sitting down for lunch and kind of, watched YouTube stuff, like the 5 scariest, whatever. And so, because I don't have TV, I don't have TV cable or anything like that, so I watch YouTube stuff. So in this automatic trailering of YouTube videos came a suggestion for me to watch was Hunt for the Skinwalker, and had a picture of the ranch, the 2 houses, and all that. I'm like, interesting. I'm going to check that out. So I started watching it, and I was about halfway through, and I got angry. I was like, what is this? Like, how much more can you regurgitate Column's book and then add some Hollywood effects to it that totally take away from what the ranch is all about? And I got mad. I was like, who are these clowns? Who's doing this? Who's behind this? Who's like commercializing something that is so pure and so beautiful and so wondrous? And what are they doing with this? So it kind of started my fire on this. Like I said, I was totally removed from all of this. I was retired from the ranch. I was done. And so I started, it festered in me, and I ended up buying a refurbished Chromebook, and I just started putting things down, and more for my own memory and myself than I didn't have any idea I was going to be on your show at some point in time. I just did it for myself, no other interest than myself. And I rode in my living room for probably like 3 days straight. I mean, I was just typing and typing and typing. And then this came to mind, and that came to mind, and I started remembering things. And then I remembered I have all these reports that I had sent that were sent to the Pentagon. A copy of our daily reports. One copy was sent to Park House, which is the Bigelow headquarters, and went to Mr. Bigelow, and then one copy went to the Pentagon. And back in the day when it was funded by what we called the sponsor, I never really knew who that was, but the chief of security for Bass in the day was Mr. Bob King, who allegedly had retired from the NSA. But anyways, if there's connections, I don't know. Can only speculate. In my heart of hearts, I believe that might be the case, but I can't put, a finger on it. So anyways, I started writing, and out of the blue, my old pal Ryan Skinner, who I hadn't talked to in about a year, called me. And he usually calls me just to bounce off like theories or crazy ideas or get my take on it. And I tell him, yeah, you're onto something, or no, you're not, or this is crazy, or, stay factual. Don't buy into the whole madness of speculation. And so he called me out of the blue and said, hey, Ryan, how's it going? And hey, I got something. Look at this. Tell me what you think. So I sent him unedited stuff I had written, and he was pretty much going like, wow, you gotta do a book, man. You gotta put this out there. And so we talked at length, and so Ryan kind of gave me his take on why it would be important to make this public. And I started thinking about it, and with all this pollution around this issue, with all these artificial kingdoms of nobodies that claim to be somebody, I figured, you know what, maybe that would be a good thing. And all I ever had in mind and still have in mind is I just want to put it out there, what really happens and happened on the ranch. I've been there for 6 years. I mean, I've worked rotations for years up there. I never ever in a moment I would say I'm an expert. I'm not an expert, and I don't have a smoking gun, and I can't tell you what is behind all of this. But what I can tell you is that there is a lot going on, and I became just like an expert witness, and I witnessed and I documented. And what is unique about all of this is while there are 150,000 people talking in third person, regurgitating stories they've heard somewhere else and rephrasing them, I have lived it. I mean, I've been there. I have actually done the reports that they base their stories on. And not only that, I have also documented it, and I have the documentation, including GPS coordinates, including pictures, including measurements, including all the scientific part of the documentation. I mean, mind you, I am an investigator. I was in my second tour in Iraq. I was military intelligence under a top secret clearance, and then I was human. I transferred into human intelligence. I worked a place called, at the time, Camp Buka, which was the largest detainee area in the world, and was mentioned on certain newscasts for us holding people there against the Constitution, all that stuff. And I was inserted into the actual death row compound 68 Whiskey at Camp Buka and worked that, and it was a very interesting experience. I did more schooling and with the military, and became a federal investigator with the military police, and worked that for a year. I ran the office for Southern Afghanistan, flew all over the country and worked cases. So without anything else, I just wanted to document that I do pay attention to detail. I do not fabricate. I do not blow smoke. I don't make something out of nothing. I don't embellish. What I am about to tell you about some of the events that took place are real. They are factual. I am not going to be thrown into the mix of these ranch Hollywood people. I am not part of any organization. I don't have social media. I don't even have TV. So yeah. The ranch is a very unique place, and things happen there that are just amazing, absolutely amazing, mind-blowing. I have heard many, many great things about the new ownership of the ranch, and I am thankful that now here's a person that took it over and is continuing what Mr. Bigelow had started and has accomplished a great deal with. And I'm thrilled. I hope at some point maybe I can meet them, and maybe I can be of help to explain some things, because it seems like we're constantly reinventing the wheel. And I would be more than happy to just tell them what I know, maybe save them a little bit of work hours, and help the process. It's not about myself. It's about like the ranch. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not into this for money. I'm not into this for fame. Matter of fact, if you looked me up on the internet, you can't find me. Which also is part of I am keeping a low profile because I'm still in the military, and I have during my year in Afghanistan and Iraq put myself on the map with probably some people that I really don't want to be found with. So I kind of stay out of the limelight for my own safety and my family and so forth. So yeah, I'm trying to keep a very low profile and just be a voice for the ranch and trying to dismantle some of this madness that has been happening up there in this Hollywood type nonsense.
All right, thank you. And I want to say we've got 3 minutes to break, and I want to just go back to Ryan Skinner for a minute because, you hear things about, he broke onto the property, and yes, he did. I think he fully admits that. And I mean, there are people that give him a really hard time. And I have gotten to know him, and he arranged this interview for me, which I will forever be grateful. And I think with his website, without his website, Skinwalker wouldn't be on the map. I mean, he has done a great job. And so, when we get back from break, I'd like you just to address how you got to know him a little bit, and then talk about that. And then I want to get into how, what first led you to Bigelow and what you first discovered, when you walked in the door and all of that, because there's so much, like I said, we've spent hours and hours and hours on the phone this week, and the things that you've told me are incredible, not only about your experiences at the ranch, but also your life. And the thing I really appreciate about you is you're very forthright. Skinwalker isn't my life. And that is good, because a lot of people are so focused on it that it becomes their life, and it is very detrimental in the end. So I appreciate you being like that.
Well, Erica, true. I mean, the ranch is wonderful. It's great. I love it. I've spent very important part of my life there at the ranch, and I would never ever want to miss a single second. And someday I hope that maybe I can go back, and if nothing else, just walk the mesa, because it's so beautiful. But yeah, in reality, my true ambitions, if I could ever become 5% of a Marty Friedman guitar player, then that would be my goal. So that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm not a ranchy. I'm not a ranch crazed person. I love it. It's part of my life, but I can also, it's not my life. It's not the part of my life. There are so many things I hold dear to my heart. Ranch is only part of it, piece of a puzzle.
Absolutely. I'm Erica Lukes here with Chris Marx. Stick around. The best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Your journey from the land of the living to the afterlife starts here. The Weird Tales Radio Show, Thursdays 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Your weekly fix for ghost stories, urban myths, witchcraft, and folklore. Hosted by the sometimes werewolf hunter, Charles Christian, and his co-host, Janie Christian. The Weird Tales Radio Show is an off-the-wall, fabulously atmospheric, and radio magazine formatted show, rated as one of the UK's most listened to podcasts. If you're a fan of the weird and unusual, then tune in if you dare. Thursdays 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. The Weird Tales Radio Show. The one show that takes your fears of the unknown and spins them into reality. The Weird Tales Radio Show on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where the weird and the strange come out to play.
Toxins are everywhere, from the air we breathe to the food we eat and the water we drink. In a world where 80,000 known toxins and heavy metals threaten our very existence, how are you going to protect yourself and your loved ones? Introducing Pure Body Extra Strength, the world's first colloidal zeolite that helps trap and remove toxins as well as heavy metals from your body that are messing with your memory, clarity, sleep, and focus. Don't just take our word for it, or the testimonials from our thousands of happy customers. Check out the hundreds of articles and case studies on the National Institute of Health website proving zeolite's powerful ability to remove toxins. For a limited time, listeners to KCOR will receive 10% off their first order. To get started, go to trypurebody.com and enter promo code Radio10. Again, that's trypurebody.com. Toxic junk is all around us, but now you can take back control of your health and protect yourself by detoxing with Pure Body Extra Strength. You'll be on your way to sleeping better, thinking more clearly, and feeling more energetic. Go to trypurebody.com right now and get started today.
Are you ready? Ready to go inside the Matrix? Inside the Matrix.
You see, whoever controls technology controls the world.
Then tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, as your host, Jimmy Brent, takes you deep inside the holographic Matrix.
Carefully designed to stimulate the mind.
Come explore a world of topics from technology, archaeology, spirituality, and so much more. Inside the Matrix will liberate you from the manipulated, parasitic entities of consciousness.
You guys ready for this?
It's time to claim your true natures as creative, divine beings inside the Matrix. Hosted by Jimmy Brent.
Who are we talking about?
Jimmy Brent. Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Inside the Matrix. Investigating and analyzing the experience of life. 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 Life.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes. Erica Lukes.
Welcome back. I'm Erica Lukes. You can find me at UFOclassified.com or find me on Facebook or Twitter, or I really try to get on my social media game, but some days I just need an assistant. But please reach out to me. It is fun now that I am on a couple of different shows on the Travel Channel. I get messages from all over the world from people that are having very profound, life-changing experiences, people that have questions and want to learn more, and I'm thrilled to be able to play a part in hopefully educating everyone and providing a safe space, which is something that we need to do, especially here in the Uintah Basin in Utah. This is a wonderful place. My guest this evening was mentioning before we went to break how truly incredible Skinwalker Ranch is and the surrounding areas, and it is. And everybody in the Uintah Basin deserves truth and integrity, and I think we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I just want to say I'm thrilled to have Chris Marx here. He's never done an interview before, and he became so concerned about some of the rhetoric and nonsense that was being put forward about the ranch, and frankly dangerous things that are being put forward, that he wanted to come on the record and set that straight. And so, Chris, welcome back, and thank you for everything that you are doing. I appreciate it. And when, I wanted to just finish up with the Ryan Skinner thing, because Skinner has gotten a lot of bad flack. and it's like, okay, great, he broke onto the property, yada yada. Okay, I mean, just how did you first meet Ryan Skinner?
Hey, before I get into this, I just
Yeah,
heard that there was a lot of veterans and so forth being in the chat room. So I just want to take a minute and say, hey, thanks, guys.
that's awesome.
Love you. So, Ryan Skinner, yeah. When I first joined Bath, Ryan was on the map because he had a website called skinwalkerranch.org, and he still maintains that. It's still there. And it was like the main tool, Bath. We had actually several accounts with him. We didn't know this at the time. But yeah, we were part of Ryan's website, and we monitored because there was a lot of information to be gained because it was just the locals like sounding off. And while most of the stuff was funny, some stuff was not. It was the time when this whole thing about black limousines, black helicopters, underground base below the ranch, and all this stuff was like cooking hot. And I mean, personally, I thought it was funny because the only reason why you did see a black Suburban or a black Tahoe come in and out of the ranch was because that's the car that Enterprise Rent-A-Car Rentals had on the lot. We rented cars to go to the ranch, and hauling all that much gear for 2 weeks, our tours were 2 weeks at a time, you had to have something that had a little bit of cargo space and definitely cruise control because, I mean, it's 8 hours from Vegas where, we're based out of, or were based out of. So that's why we had those cars. If somebody would have actually ever bothered to look closer, I mean, there is the barcode was right on the window. I mean, it said Enterprise Rent-A-Car. There was no black limousines. There was no government nonsense. Like helicopters, there aren't any. For crying out loud, there's no underground base. Never has been. Why would there be? Really think that the U.S. Gov would appreciate all these oil people to put up drill rigs around the ranch, which there's like a lot of them. We had surveyors come onto the ranch to survey for oil because from what I'm understanding is Bass or Mr. Bigelow owned the ranch, but he didn't own the mineral rights to it. So they were going to drill on the ranch for oil. And when, I don't know the detail of how he was able to divert that, but they were saying, okay, they're going to just put straws underneath it and whatever oil they may be, they're sucked from underneath the ranch and then produce it whatever way means necessary. So there were so many rumors and so much nonsense. And I heard about a shooting that I guess I was involved in as well, a shootout with aliens, that some of us died. I was just flabbergasted. I mean, really? I carried, a 1911, a Colt 45. I mean, 1911 is what I carried on the. Really, a 1911 is going to be what the weapon to use against alien technology. It is madness. And so
and I want to just throw in there, and sorry to stop you there, but it's important for people to know that when you go back and you look at some of the original sources for this nonsense, I mean, you can go back and look at, there was a meeting, and I believe Ron Pandolfi, Jack Sarfati, I believe that crowd was there, and I think that's where the news about the alien encounter took place. So it's interesting when you go back and you look at the players and you see different things and when narratives were inserted into all of this and by whom and things. And so I just want to make sure people understand that it's not just one thing. There are people involved steering the narrative.
Absolutely. I mean, I told you in the beginning, I was out of this game. I've never really been in this game in the first place. I'm not a ranchie. I happen to be lucky to be privileged to be hired by Bass and have 6 years on the property. But I'm not a UFO nut. I'm not a paranormal nut. I'm a pretty realistic person. I'm a sergeant first class, and still am actively. And I have integrity. I have honor. I do live the Army values, and I'm not part of this madness. And this madness is dangerous. And I had no idea just how dangerous this is until we announced. I mean, I was smeared as I am, what did it say? I was mentally dangerous, and I was mentally deranged, and there were a lot of underlying threats. And I was like, who are these people? And what's their agenda? I mean, and then I started thinking about this, and it is a financial kingdom. There are people like George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell that have dominated this market. And it fascinates me because neither one of these people have been on the ranch. I mean, George has been on the ranch during my 6 years? Never. Not once. I would have known because I was there. And if he was there under NIDS, great. Maybe a handful of time, if that. I have heard. Of course, I'm not his, personal life assistant. That when he actually was at the ranch, he spent his nights at Vernal at the hotel. He wouldn't overnight at the ranch, and he's a ranch expert. He's irrelevant. Corbell is irrelevant. All these people are irrelevant, but they have built themselves a kingdom to where all of a sudden they are the ones to go to if major cable channels are doing a story or a series on the place. I don't understand how George Knapp, Corbell, and the whole clan, this kingdom of fools, is qualified to say anything. They are ape hangers. They're just riding the skirt tails of people that have been there and regurgitating their stories and then calling themselves experts. It just really upsets me. And this is why I'm on the phone with you. This is how I got back into this whole game. It really is a game. It's crazy. Just how crazy it is. I researched a little bit before the show, and I came across a radio show that is called UFO Network. And it's hosted by a Chant Hanna and a Frank Stalter. Neither one I've ever heard of, and to me, they're just that. I don't know who these people are. They come out of the woodworks, and everybody's cashing on the ranch. And then there's the backstabbing is tremendous. I mean, it is amazing. So they on this thing that I researched, I found they actually took you on, and I'm just going to quote this, and I don't have to say anything else. This is Frank Stalter talking. It was about an hour, 25 minutes into the program. It was an interview with a Dr. Michael. And so Stelter is saying, I'm quoting, "We are going to take as much time as we need to basically take her apart. She's got a long record of attacking people and being very, very slimy in this field. And she chose to take us on. And she stepped out of her weight class, basically. I'm going to fuck that bitch up. I am gonna get this show, and I'm gonna get on this show, and I'm gonna take her apart. Because I did her show. We'll get into all of that." And then he keeps on. I mean, I was like, oh my God. Then he calls you, quote again, Stalter, "She has a narcissistic personality disorder, no question about that." And he keeps on going. She's sick. There's something wrong with her, and we will get down to it. We also deconstruct some of her dishonest colleagues. And finally, he says, "You are weak too. You are weak too. You better get ready. You better batten down. your hatches because you pissed me the fuck off. I'm reading this, and I would have never believed this, but I'm actually getting a taste of this myself, and I'm just a guitar player. Holy crap! I mean, really? But
Right.
I'm not going to play this game. I'm a very easygoing, peaceful person, but I do have teeth, and if I need to bring them out, I'll bring them out because I will be. I'm here to stay, and I'm going to be talking about and educating about the ranch without self-profit. I just want to be the counter to the madness. I am going to be the counter to George Knapp and Corbell. I am going to be the person that highlights what really does take place and taking kind of the fuse out of it, because the fuse is dangerous. And I'm going back to Ryan Skinner. So, as part of my routine on the ranch, in the mornings I would run from Homestead 1, which was our double wide. I would run down to the East Gate, and then I'd run to the West Gate, and I run back to the East Gate, and I run back to the West Gate, and then come back on the Mesa. I would run I'm a runner, so I would run my 4 or 5 miles every morning. And as I came back to the East Gate at one of these tours running, there was a female and a male at the gate, and so I'm in my running outfit and all that. I'm engaging them, talking. And the female was a Native American, which surprised the hell out of me because they usually are not anywhere near the ranch because of the lore, which, by the way, is real. And I was talking to her, and she was asking me. It was just a friendly conversation. There was no fishing for info. It was just a friendly, how's it going, beautiful day type of thing. And then she was saying something, asking me about ranch stuff, and what I always did, which was beautiful because I was able to interview them without them really noticing I interviewed them, is I would talk about Column's book because that was published. So I wouldn't put any kind of trade secret out to anyone. I would simply requote things that were already out there. And then they would, give me information, give me the pulse of what was going on around. And there was the person that was with her kind of stood back, and I was talking about the nonsense, and I had noticed Ryan had posted a video earlier that day about mysterious lights on the ranch and all of that. And I watched it, and I'm like, whoa. Actually, that was me. I was in the pasture down by just outside the Homestead 1, and I had purchased a really cool flashlight. One of those 1200 lumens type, like blast all, and had all these different functions, like the Morse code stuff. And so I was simply, creating like a Luxor or Las Vegas effect by testing and playing with my flashlight. Well, that became all of a sudden a paranormal event. And so I was kind of making an example out of this and said, you know what? There's so much crap that's being talked about this place in, as an example, this video. And this is when the person walked up to me and started defending some of the stuff. And I said, you know what, this is really funny. There are things that are taking place, but my flashlight clearly is not part of your paranormal experience. And I looked at him and I said, are you Ryan? He goes, yep. I said, I figured. I said, you're Ryan Skinner. He goes, yeah. I said, cool. I said, I'm so glad to actually meet you because I want to really talk to you. And I explained to him, and this took a different course, the dangers. And I said, dude, there are people posting some crazy stuff that we, bass, are some sort of skinwalker hybrids, that we are because we are on the ranch and we don't get hurt and we live there and we sustain. So therefore, we are part of that. And there was a lot of conversation, and not only came from his website, but I also heard it from my informants and friends I had in Roosevelt and in Vernal and Fort Duchesne, and they would call me and say there actually has been talk that they wanted to get themselves a trophy. And by no means am I immortal. And I got really worried about this because it all takes just a bunch of guys sitting around somewhere having a few beers and a few more beers, and then somebody saying something like, "Hey, you know what? Let's go out to the Skinwalker Ranch and let's shoot ourselves a hybrid." Because in their belief system, we were not killable. We were like the wolves that were shot by the Shermans, and I have my own story on that, which I will share down the road later in this program. But I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "This is nuts." And the ranch, I mean, we're talking 1,000 acres, and at that time, it was one person. We were there by ourselves. It was a one-man show. It was one person to research and patrol and safeguard 1,000 acres without having a signal on my phone. I had no phone signal. I had no radio signal. Even if I had radio signal, who would I be broadcasting to? Because there was nobody. It was just one person on the entire huge ranch. I would safeguard, try to do things where I went to Walmart and I bought all these cameras that you saw at the gate. They were like double A powered fakes. There was no power to the gate. There never were surveillance cameras on the ranch. Never, other than during the NITS days, the two that like destroyed each other. But all this stuff was fake. It was just a big show and a charade. I did all of this. I bought it with my own money. I took the ladder up to the gate. I hung those cameras because I wanted to create the illusion that there were more than just me. When people came to the gate, I actually carried a radio for prop. And I would actually, every once in a while, broadcast, "Hey, Team Tango on the ridge, everything was code 4. Just for show. Because there was nobody. There was just me. So I would create this illusion of a team being there, which there never was. It was kind of, it was beautiful in one way, that it was serene and it was great. Not having to be up there with another person, which you may not even like or get along with. But in other ways, it also had a danger to it, because what if you do fall on the ridge or up on the mesa? Who's there to pick you up? I mean, you're screwed. You're by yourself. Nobody will find you. It's 1,000 acres. So anyways, going back to Ryan, I said, "Hey, man, do me a favor." He's like, you moderate this website, right? He's like, "Yeah." I said, I'm not asking you to censor, but what I'm asking you is to police it, because this is nuts. Because your people, some, not all, most of them are perfectly harmless, just interested in the ranch, like I would be as well. I said, some of these people are out of their minds, and I don't want to get shot. I don't want to have some yahoo on methamphetamine with a couple of beers in his blood sitting on the ridge and, with a scope and taking me out with a 308. I simply don't, that's not my idea of, I don't want to die on the ranch. And so I started patrolling the ranch totally blacked out. I would not use light. I would not use anything to identify what I was doing, where I was. I would navigate by thermal imaging. I would navigate by night vision. And I would navigate by just my senses. And Ryan was, and this is where, because there was a lot of bad talk about him. He's trespassing, he's this, he's that, he's the other. I have never seen Ryan trespass. I have never caught Ryan on the ranch. So I don't know where this, I'm sure, I mean, if he walked on, so what? I mean, Jesse Ventura did it when they did the show at the gate. And this clown of a show actually climbed over the gate. They videotaped it. He ran about 15 feet into the ranch property on the dirt road and then ran back. In the end, they actually edited this whole shot, and he was shot in the leg by a laser. I'm sorry. That is the craziest stuff I ever heard. I mean, do we have lasers that actually, I mean, the Navy does on some of their boats that they're testing. Do we have lasers that shoot people? I mean, that's straight up Star Wars. That's the completest nonsense I have ever heard. But Ryan, and they trespassed on tape and broadcast it. Now, great. Ryan Burns, in his infinite wisdom, would broadcast on Ryan Skinner's website that he was going to do an expedition on several occasions to the ranch and take people on and give tours and all that. Did he never think that I was reading this? We were reading this? I was perfectly aware because he even gave location and time. He said, I'm going to be at the river. I'm going to cross the river about 8 o'clock if you guys want to come with me. So knowing this, what I would do is I would get up on the mesa someplace. And so after 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I would just paint the river area with laser. I just paint it. Just a store-bought, it wasn't mounted on a weapon. It was a handheld laser. And of course, that gave many more fuel to paranormal nonsense. No, it was me keeping them from coming onto the ranch and having a group of people trampling over my place. That was my house. Don't come in and abuse my things. That's not cool. So Ryan was actually super helpful and put this on his website. He said, no.
And I've got to cut you off right there. And we're going to talk about that when we get back because I hear the music. So we're going to take a break. I am Erica Lukes here with Chris Marx. Again, this show will be one for the memory book. So I hope you listen to this show again and again and get it out to as many places as you can. We will be back after the break.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows, visit her website at ufoclassified.com. UFO Classified. UFO Classified. This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to the second half of UFO Classified. I'm Erica Lukes and always happy to be here. I have done my show every Friday night for half a decade. I have paid for my show and have helped. I have people who are amazing who donate to the show. I do that because I feel it is absolutely critical that we get some information out there that is actually relevant, that is important, that isn't being manipulated by the powers that be, and there is no agenda other than keeping witnesses safe, preserving history, and making sure that history isn't swept away and being rewritten, which I fully believe is taking place now. I've talked about that on a lot of shows, but I am here tonight with somebody who I believe is really critical. This is a show that we will always remember, and we should share it and keep sharing it, because this is talking about a place, Skinwalker Ranch, that is internationally known. There are all sorts of TV shows and podcasts and yada, yada, yada about the ranch, and for good reason. It is an incredible place. The Uintah Basin is one of the most magnificent places that I will ever have the pleasure of visiting. I'm 2 hours away. I have been on the ranch. I have been on the periphery of the ranch, and the things that I have seen are absolutely mind-blowing. And there is something real, something important, something that deserves funding, and it needs to be studied. And people that live in the Uintah Basin also deserve to have truth. They deserve not to be scared and manipulated and have all of these stories swirling around about reptilians and all of these satanic rituals that are taking place and things that are just, it's not in the best interest of all of us, and especially people that actually work on the ranch. As Chris has mentioned tonight, I'm here with Chris Marx, who has served 3 tours of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was a team member of high-risk target transportation in the military. He was with military intelligence, a military police investigator, and ran the MPI office for southern Afghanistan. He worked for Bigelow, Aerospace, and Bass. He just resigned back in February of 2019, and he has been on the ranch and is providing us a unique and incredible glimpse inside the ranch, and also highlighting some of this garbage that you see that's going on. And so all of this is important. Chris, welcome back to the show. I appreciate you so much for being here and having, just speaking your mind, talking about things. And I think this is important because there, like you mentioned, there are people on the ranch now and back then who are really being hurt by some of these myths and conspiracy theory garbage that we see that gets spread around.
Erica, thank you so much. Yes, absolutely, so true. Which was another reason why I decided to come out of quasi-retirement from this. I talked about Ryan earlier in this last segment and how he actually was really a huge factor of helping to make a safeguard us on the ranch by steering his website and addressing the crazies that were out of line. So he did a tremendous service and never, of course, got credit for anything. As a matter of fact, he has been character assassinated by just about whomever there is. And tell you, I mean, he's a cool guy. He's a great guy. And over the years, like he would, out of the blue, call me or email me and say, "Hey, I heard about this, that, and the other." And I asked him, "Who did you hear this from?" And he threw out some names. Of course, most of the time I never heard of these people. And I would tell him, "No, dude, there is no underground base. And no, there are no black limousines. No, there are no black helicopters. And none of this stuff." As a matter of fact, here, Ryan, we had a $70 per week food allowance on the ranch. We would go once a week to the Walmart in Vernal, go shopping. I mean, how much food do you buy for $70? We paid our own food up there, crying out loud. And even our gas money up to the ranch, we paid for this out of pocket. And then later on got reimbursed. We paid for our own equipment. We, down to the dogs. I had, Max, Bella, and Ruka up there, beautiful dogs. And they were my partners. And so and this is not Bigelow. This did never come from Mr. Bigelow. This were the people that were in his lower management positions that were trying to highlight themselves by coming in under budget or trying to save money and then, well, in the end, collected the bonus pay. This was never, ever anything Mr. Bigelow was even remotely aware about. He's such a Mr. Bigelow is a very giving person. For crying out loud, his Thanksgiving parties at the plant, he gives away $150,000 each year just to his employees for Thanksgiving parties. I know this because on this last event, I won $4,000. I mean, I raffled $4,000. He's a very genuine person. He would show up at the security trailer up there and just hand out like 1,000 rounds of ammo. He would find out who was carrying which caliber. And like he came up to me, handed me 1,000 rounds, factory package 45 ACP. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like $350, $400. He's a very generous person. And so anyways, going back to where I was at, that's another myth I wanted to crumble because there are so many people talking so much nonsense. And I know the man, I've hiked with him. I respect him highly. I think he's a visionary, and I am at awe at him and his family. So anyways, going back to the subject, Ryan's been burned. Many people have been burned over and over. Since I came back to this, I've had character assassination attempts on me, and this is not happening because I still hold a DoD secret clearance. I'm still in. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at another deployment coming up in next year in January 2020. I'm not playing this game. I'm not part of this charade and this clown show, but I feel that I need to be here right now to put a boot up people's ass that are abusing and character assassinations that are taking place against like everyone that is not conforming with them. It's a kingdom of fools, and the jesters that are surrounding it, like Burns, like Corbell, and Hannah, and all this whatever crowd of mad people. It has become a financial empire. They're making money of this. Then you have, of course, the pyramid scheme of MUFON, which is really, that's what it is. It's a pyramid scheme. And they're incredibly destructive to the research and to the vision of what really happens. They are extremely political. They are twisting and bending and telling untruths if it furthers their course, if it furthers their benefit, and if it furthers their purse. I will be the MUFON and King of Fool Empire Antichrist. I am going to stop what I can to rectify some things that are so out of line.
Thank you. And I want to I have to throw in there, I've known Ryan Burns for a long time, and I actually like Ryan, and so it's hard. There's so many people that you've seen different sides. I've seen different sides. I don't know. It's one of those things.
True, and maybe I should take a step back and just at some point down the road, maybe hey, if George Knapp ever wants to have me on his show, I will address this with him in front of his audience. And I will ask him questions in front of his audience. I will ask him, what makes you qualified to call yourself a ranch expert? And I would ask him, how much money have you made being a ranch expert? And how have you used all of this to fuel and further your other projects? I mean, how have you used something that is simply beautiful and needs to be researched, and you made a clown show out of it? It's a circus. It is insane. And it hurts people. People are getting hurt through this. And anyways, so that's my whole take on what's going on. Again, I want to highlight that I believe that the ranch is currently managed and owned by somebody that really is going back to the roots, that really has his energy and his honest personal involvement in this. And I really believe that he will take the ranch and take it to the next level that it deserves to be taken. Mr. Bigelow has done a wonderful job working it to where he left off, and then the new person is really carrying the torch forward. And I have nothing but the highest respect and admire him for his enthusiasm in this. All right. Having said all that, let me go back to how I got to Bass. Here's how this all started. I was in Iraq for 2 years, and came back, and the company I'd worked for had folded. So I was basically unemployed, and I was at Drill and talked about, I wasn't going to take unemployment money and all this and that and the other. And anyways, there was an email that came out through the Nevada Army National Guard advertising Bigelow Aerospace, that he was looking for military police or security forces, Air Force, to join his team. And I thought, sounds interesting. So I applied. And I didn't know, I've never heard of Mr. Bigelow. I had never heard of Bass. I had never heard of the ranch. I had never been in any UFO circles. I have had UFO experiences back in New Mexico that were quite impressive, that I was like, wow. But I just took them as such. I was like, wow, that's pretty much, I didn't do anything with it. I do believe that there are things out there that are of other planetary nature, because who are we? Really? I mean, are we the only place in the universe that while we're driving Corvettes, I'm sure they're driving, spaceship, whatever. But so I saw this advertisement. I applied to it. I got an interview, and I drove down to Park House on Eastern in Vegas. And it's a beautiful, beautiful house, beautiful compound, huge garden, just gorgeous. So I pulled up, and I pulled on the side of it, and it had like the sun shading. Got out of my car and walked in what I thought was the entrance. And I walk in, I'm looking down the barrel of a gun. I'm like, what's going on? This is crazy. There's a dude standing there actually drawing down on me. He actually puts the gun in my face. I carried, but there was at that point no way to get to the back of my waistband, and it would have been foolish. I just didn't know what was happening. But then again, I just came from out of 2 years of combat, and somebody's putting a gun on my face. I'm not going to react. Like, it's not going to make me happy. So, anyways, I explained to him, hey, I'm here for the interview. My name is Chris Marx. He goes, how come you didn't come to the front door, or come into the front door? I said, sorry, I thought this was the front door. So, anyways, he was pretty cool. Didn't introduce himself by name or anything. We walked up to his office, and I sat down. He interviewed me, and he asked me, just usually the basic type stuff, and I told him a little bit about me. And then about halfway through, he shifted gear, and he's like, "So stop." I was like, "Okay." I thought maybe I'd blown the interview or something. And he asked me if I had ever experienced anything that was unexplainable, or that was paranormal, or something that just didn't make sense. And I told him, yeah, I actually have. And he opened that door, and I started just talking about it. I told him about experiences I had, things I had seen and experienced. And then he asked me questions. He asked me, could you could you deploy for 2 weeks at a time? I said, yeah, where to? He goes, I'm not going to be able to tell you this until if you get hired, then you'll find out. I said, okay. He goes, I'm not interviewing you for Bigelow Aerospace. I'm interviewing you for a sister company of Aerospace. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. So, long story short, when I drove away from this interview, I called my friend at the time and said, hey, I think I got this job. And she was going, who are you working for? Or who did you apply to? I said, I don't really know. I mean, they never gave me a name of the company. And they said, I'm going to be deploying. I said, she's like, where to? I said, I don't know. He was saying that I would, if I get selected, I would find out. And she's like, how much are they going to pay you? I said, I don't know that either. I just applied for a job I have no idea about. I don't even know. So then about a week after, I picked up my drug test kit and I got my hiring paperwork, and that's when I saw the letterhead that said BAS on it, Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. I was like, that's fancy. Still haven't heard about them. So I did a bit of internet looking them up, and I was like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. So I got hired. And BAS at the time, we had our headquarters down on Polaris in Las Vegas, downtown. And so I showed up there, and I spent my first week in the library, which was probably the most magnificent library I have ever witnessed. There were so many, like, not only books, but journals, documentation, firsthand, some of them, about events. One of them was Roswell. And after having looked at the files that BAS had, the pictures, the actual research reports on it, the actual documentation from an actual investigator that was actually there, I no longer or forever will have any doubts that Roswell happened. It happened. So I was just like a kid in the candy store. I was like, this is insane. I looked at, there was a lot of stuff about Skinwalker Ranch, and I was like, never heard of the place, but sounds interesting, intriguing. So I started looking at some of the stuff that was in there, and I was hooked. I was on fire. I was like, oh my God, I gotta go there. I so gotta go there. I really want to be there. And so a couple of weeks down the road, and my first job was they handed me a pile, it's about 3-inch thick, of orders. These orders were original in German. They came out of the Führer bunker. They were dated 1942. It depicted a fleet of submarine that were going on to, I don't know if this ever happened, but the orders were real. This was no crap. They were going on a tour to explore the sunken city of Agatha. And I know this sounds crazy, but and that was my first impression. But then I actually started looking and reading these orders. It showed not only the bill of lading to these boats, it showed the personnel list, the packs that came on those boats that were sailing them. It showed the commanders. It showed the cargo. It showed the equipment. It showed the water depth and temperature. It indicated the ice depth and so forth going towards the pole. It showed the water current speed. It showed everything. I mean, this was real. I spent about a week, almost 10 days, translating because I wanted to, even though I do speak and read fluent German, I wanted to capture the language and the meaning of it as it was written in 1942. And so that was my first gig. And after that, shortly, I had my first rotation. I was scheduled to go up to Skinwalker. And oh my God, I mean, I was like so excited. I was so thrilled. And then it happened right about my birthday. in April. And so I was going to Bass. I had only been there down to the headquarters, riding my Harley. I had only been there like maybe 4 or 5 days. And I'm a pretty decent rider. I mean, I've crossed the U.S. twice after, like, when I got back from Iraq. That's all I did was ride the U.S. coast to coast and camp and just reconnect with my country. And so I got in an accident and I rolled my bike. I was doing about 65 miles an hour and I just laid it out on US 95. I walked away from it, but I was not in a very good shape. But I walked away from it. My arm was just skinned. There's liquid oozing everywhere. It's just road rash from hell. Anyways, I was like, oh, God, my first thought was, well, my bike, of course. The second thought was, I just blew the ranch. And so anyways, I ended up in the hospital and they scrubbed all this stuff out, all the debris out of my arm. So I had called in and said, hey, I had an accident. I'm not going to be in today. I'm going to be in tomorrow. And I just doped up on ibuprofen like a champ and bandaged everything like I could, best I could, so it wouldn't ooze through my shirt. And in that condition, I deployed to the ranch. And I got there, and I was just mind blown. Just the sheer beauty of it. The mesa, the river, the pastures, the smells. They had cows on it. The irrigation canals. Just such a magnificent piece of land, of real estate. It just took my breath away. So I got to meet the caretakers, was introduced to the dogs. At that point, at that time, there was 2 of us. We still had the government contract. That was before.
And of course,
music.
Yeah, there's the music. So we'll talk about that when we get back. I'm sad we've only got one more segment. I'm Erica Lukes here on UFO Classified with Chris Marx talking about Skinwalker Ranch. We will be right back after this last break.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Are you ready to expand your consciousness? Ready to dive deep within this profound planetary ascension? Then you're ready for the Universal Consciousness Show. Live Mondays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Hosted by Augie Nost and Diana Seraphim. It's time to expand your consciousness. A time to learn new modalities. To further understand the all. The Universal Consciousness Show will take you on a magical journey as you explore an array of possibilities. From the paranormal to UFOs and aliens, as well as banned medical cures, you'll learn to activate knowledge hidden deep within your DNA. The Universal Consciousness Show, hosted by Augie Nost and Diana Seraphim. Live Mondays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. A deeper understanding of the universe is but a show away.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Vegas, baby!
Vegas' #1 source for talk and new music.
How cool is that?
There is a world outside that which we live in, a realm where fact and fiction collide. The Paradigm Matrix.
The Paradigm Matrix.
Hosted by Willie Miranda. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room.
The 1-hour show that will surely leave you hanging on the edge of the rabbit hole.
The Paradigm Matrix
explores a universe of topics from UFOs, cryptozoology, conspiracies, as well as all things paranormal.
Enter a world of the twisted and deformed.
Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Paradigm Matrix. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where fact and fiction collide.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government